members of our mother body, ANC and Alliance, to lower your anger and compromise, to come all out to vote for victory. We know and acknowledge the serious shortcomings in most of our leadership because of greed and self-enrichment, causing a big damage in the ranks of our leadership. Most of these individuals must be recalled, adhering to the constitution of our organization and the code of conduct. Let's defend the gains of the revolution that our heroes and heroines sacrificed for, and avoid the destruction of our organization. ANC has done good, but not enough because of sabotage. The sacrifices of our fallen heroes and heroines, the Craddock 4, the Mamelodi 4, Chris Hani, Noutula Smelan, Dalsi September, Bani Mulukwane, Velapi Msane, Comrade Faku, in bracket, Begi Mlangeni, Mama Rita Nzanga, Lawrence Nzanga, Ruth First, Joe Gabi, Comrade Zakiti, Comrade Nzima, and his wife, the wife of Comrade Hlophe, just to mention the few. The Craddock 4, the cry of the families of our heroes, the Craddock 4. The Craddock 4 families approached the National Prosecuting Authority to make a final prosecutorial decision. A deadline was set. All the deadlines were not honored. They phoned the National Prosecuting Authority. No one picked up the phone. The answer they gave later was that they were under-resourced, which is an insult to the families and the entire nation. The family of Craddock 4 tried their level best to dig more information, seeking closure. They wanted to know how their loved ones were brutalized by the racist, nationalist Afrikaners. The National Prosecuting Authority delayed the investigation, giving clumsy excuses because the Craddock 4 is not so important to them. The Craddock 4 families complained bitterly to the National Prosecuting Authority, but they never pulled up their socks and folded up their sleeves. These comrades were tortured and burned to death in 1985 because they wanted to see the land being given back to the rightful owners, the black majority, the mines being owned by the people, the big industry being nationalized, the Reserve Bank being owned by the state or the people. They wanted to see free medical treatment being fully practiced with quality and patriotism, and children enjoying quality education. What is traumatizing by the Craddock 4 is that Goniwe, the teacher, was from serving sentence in Robben Island for the ANC activities, later tortured and burned to death. Not forgetting the other comrades who suffered the same fate. Comrades are a symbol of power, courage, and unity. They died for our land. They wanted to see their land in the hands of the dispossessed, the black majority. They never betrayed. They died as heroes of our revolution. The National Prosecuting Authority failed to prosecute the last white culprit who was directly involved in this brutal torture and death of our heroes. Until that white culprit died in June last year. The National Prosecuting Authority was good in rubbing salt in our wounds. They are afraid to prosecute the whites, but very vibrant to prosecute the blacks. The public protector Mkmva and Judge Shope from Western Cape. We are still waiting for other black judges to be prosecuted. For example, Judge Mkmva and others. The former colonial masters are destroying our intelligentsia. Our judicial system is more than weak to act appropriately. Racism is still dominating in our judicial system. The brutal race killings of our farm workers and lenient sentences given to the white culprits and of an early parole, which is a big shame to our citizens, demoralizing the entire nation. Chief Justice Zondo, you have jumped the guns. You have overstepped the people's power. You have stepped in the back of the nation with the British Queen's sword. The nation is in pains, crying day and night. You have released the monster, Jalous, the Polish boy, a mercenary, a killer. Honey's family is more than sick. You have caused more killer disease in that family. You have taken orders from the colonial masters, the British and the Afrikaners, to destroy our country. Chief Justice Zondo and your deputy Mandismaya, you are stooges of the former colonial masters. You released the murderer. The Secretary General of the South African Communist Party, Mapaila, promised us that they will challenge the judicial system within 3 months. That 3 months passed with no sign at all. Umkhonto weSizwe Veterans Association, Mkmva, we are prepared to defend and die for the gains of our revolution. The brutal race killings of our farm workers. You failed Desmond to prosecute the white culprits. Slave-master relation is more than shocking. Let us vote for the ANC so that we can recall those leaders who are not fit to take the ANC forward for a better future. We know them. The Afrikaner boy using his father's gun for the second time. The shooting happened at Skillekker informal settlement, Swart Regens. Grade 5 pupil, Tsepo Mutsilanuka, 10 years old, was playing makeshift kart when he was shot 3 times in the face, neck, and back. He fell on his kart and died. A few seconds later, in Khupuleng, Muipiti, 37 years old, was shot dead with her 3-month-old baby. The mother of the child died at Rustenburg Hospital. 39-year-old man from Eastern Cape was also killed. 3-year-old survivor, Unkarabile Luetering, was injured in the arm. The father of the son had been involved in racist attacks before. The DA condemned the locals for protesting and called on Northwest government to act strongly against such behavior. They showed no remorse by taking photos of the deceased. Rainbow Nation does not exist in South Africa. The case was given a poor attention. Odendaal, Pete Odendaal ties Musuku, John Rampur, to the back of a buggy and dragged him for 5 kilometers to his death in the Free State town of Sasolburg. Odendaal was found guilty of culpable homicide in the Bloemfontein High Court and sentenced to 10 years in prison, of which 3 were suspended conditionally for 4 years. The sentence was more than the word lenient because it's white. Our judicial system favors the whites because they have money. In most of the cases, the former Chief Justice Mkmva once said, "Judges are not holy cows, they can be bought." Racism is a cancer in South Africa. We, the veterans of Mkmva, during War of Liberation, we were always in the first line of attack and the first line of defense under the leadership of Oliver Tambo, the late president of the ANC. He honored us, Mkmva military wing, as an advanced detachment of the revolution. Today we are facing certain individuals who are trying to destroy our organization, ANC, causing sabotage in various fields of the government, saying that the policies of the ANC are good. The problem is only implementation. Let's face the truth. There is a big sabotage going on in the ranks of the ANC leadership. The enemy within has managed to create a battlefield in the high structures of the ANC. Women's League, Youth League, provincial conferences, and national conferences. They said ANC is at the crossroad. It has lost integrity. This is caused by the British, the Americans, and Afrikaners. Immediately after 1994 national elections, the British intelligence told their allies that they give ANC 25 to 30 years to rule South Africa and it would be removed. The beginning of the end has already started. I repeat, the enemy within has managed to create a battlefield in the high structures of the ANC. Women's League, Youth League, provincial conferences, and national conferences. They said ANC is at the crossroad. It has lost integrity. This is caused by the British, the Americans, and the Afrikaners. Immediately after 1994 national elections, the British intelligence told the allies that they give ANC 25 to 30 years to rule South Africa and it would be removed. The beginning of the end has already started. The load shedding, the transport sabotage, PRASA, South African Airways, Transnet, National Treasury, Reserve Bank, and SARS, just to mention the few. The work of the British, Americans, Afrikaners will be defeated. They sabotaged our national assets using their puppets in the ANC leadership ranks, Eskom, South African Airways, Transnet, and the Reserve Bank, just to mention the few. That's what they did in Angola and Mozambique. In Angola, the enemy within hoarded food in the national logistics stores like Transnet, letting the masses to starve, and Western countries supporting UNITA to attack civilians, killing them indiscriminately, laying conditions for a coup. Later they staged the coup and failed because of the movement for popular liberation of Angolas, loyalty to the President Agostinho Neto. Many lives were lost. Some members of the Central Committee were sentenced to death. In Mozambique war, in Mozambique civil war, they lost 1 million plus people. 2021 July unrest in South Africa was a spark for a civil war created by the British to oust the ANC present government. But it failed. Load shedding and sabotage in transport sector, these are the conditions laid by the enemy to stage a coup at an appropriate time. We are not going to be blackmailed by the British, not in our lifetime. Umkhonto weSizwe Military Veteran Association. We must build a strong revolutionary structure of intelligence with high standard of patriotism. We will defeat the enemy. Victory is certain. South Africa is rated the third platinum producing country in the world. The highly educated politicians in my country and Western world rating agencies led by the British professionals regard South Africa as the highest number one, which is the gap of an inequality in the world between the haves and the have-not. They call it a ticking bomb. How far true is that? Okay. What is taking place in my country? The coup d'etat and civil war is imminent in our country. Load shedding, crippling of transport sector, Brazza Railway, South African Airways, National Treasury, Transnet, SARS, and Reserve Bank. The failure of the ANC to give full accountability as the government of the day, they created a fertile ground for the enemy to exploit it to the last, saying that the ANC is at war with itself. It has lost integrity. Actually, they said ANC is at a crossroad, meaning that we don't know where we are heading to. The enemy has managed to create a battlefield within the ranks of the ANC leadership. ANC has done good for our people, but not enough because of sabotage within its leadership. We have to recall some, if not most, of our leadership adhering to the Constitution and the Code of Conduct of our movement. This delivery is nothing else but the pulse of our nation for peace and development, for a better future. We need a strong intelligence to keep a constant monitoring in our departments. Most unfortunately, our intelligence is trying, but very weak indeed, to make the government structures to account. Monitoring and evaluation and economic planning is playing a duck and dive game. Eskom issue, South African Airways, for example. We cannot overlook the enemy sabotage in our national assets. The most worrisome on service delivery is crime, unemployment, the land issue, and the Reserve Bank, just to mention the few. The white monopoly capital is destroying our working class, and our leaders are dilly-dallying to criticize and to protect the interests of the working class in South Africa. The British and Americans wanted to come as observers in our national election, undermining SADC and African Union. They pushed their agents, DA and Freedom Plus, to put their proposal forward to the nation that they want Americans to come as observers. We don't want United States of America. The racist Democratic Party, the Republican Party, and the British, they are international political criminals in our situation. America lost 58,000 soldiers and killed 3.9 million Vietnamese. The Vietnamese land became the testing ground for chemical warfare. America used the chemicals called Agent Orange and dioxin. Children who are born in Vietnam are half human beings with shortage of body parts. The global scientists told the world that the situation will be little bit normal after the 6th generation to come. Some scientists shed tears for what America did in Vietnam. It was more than the word horrible. Most of the soil is spoiled by chemicals. Their farm fields are full of mines which were planted by America, which makes the farmers to find it difficult to plow. What happened in Iraq in 1990s shocked the world. America and Britain told the world that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction, which were green lights. NATO invaded Iraq, killing 1 million plus people and completely destroying their country, causing an unending misery. People of Iraq are more than suffering. Our Archbishop Desmond Tutu, the chairperson of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, refused to welcome the former Prime Minister of Britain, Tony Blair, for his criminal activities in Iraq. NATO ended up killing Gaddafi in Africa, the son of the African soil, who supported the liberation movements materially with no reservations at all, under OAU, Organization of African Unity. America and Britain told themselves that they are the senior world leaders. No other nation can just claim any global authority unless it is based on their will, using NATO to destroy other countries. Let's deal with the land issue with no reservations at all. There was national consultation about the land issue in all 9 provinces of South Africa. Consensus was reached upon expropriation of the land without compensation. The AfriForum rushed to their racist grandfathers and uncles in United States of America to garner support. They met the racist Secretary General Pompeo at the White House. They told the elders of the White House that the black South Africans want to take their land. Truly speaking, who are the rightful owners of South African land? Most of the white minority community regard us blacks as subhuman. That's why they keep on raising the flag of apartheid Union Jack, undermining the sacrifices of our heroes and heroines, disregarding our majority rule.